good goddamn G-Lord. We'd like to thank the good goddamn G-Lord. 100 good goddamn G-Lord. G-Lord, 100 Jesus. Change a heart, good goddamn G-Lord. 100. We'd like to thank the good goddamn G-Lord. 100 Jesus. Change a heart from Toronto, Ontario.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love. I'm in Toronto.
Welcome to episode 1088 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. StickerU.com. Create custom stickers, labels, tattoos, and decals for your home and your business. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Doer, the world's most comfortable pants and shorts. Save 15% with the promo code TorontoMike. Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. And Canna Cabana, the lowest prices on cannabis. Guaranteed. Over 100 stores across the country. Learn more at cannacabana.com. Today, making his Toronto Mic'd debut is Ian Blurton. Welcome, Ian.
Oh, thanks for having me. That was a slick intro. Nice cut there.
No, I try my best. I'm in the presence of greatness. I gotta step up my game. Ian, this was I think this was years in the making. When did we first start talking about this?
Oh man, honestly, I don't know. But yeah,
you're here now.
It was years in the making. Decades.
The pandemic got in the way.
Yes, as it did all the way across the board.
Yeah, and we're in the backyard. I want to paint a picture for the podcast listeners. So, I look at the forecast and it says there's a medium chance of thunderstorms right now. So I started getting a little nervous. Thunderstorms aren't good for the gear here, as you know. But it's actually, right now, it's a pretty nice day. It's a pretty beautiful day to be back here.
It's gorgeous back here. Very nice.
So welcome, my friend. Lots of ground I want to cover with you. Maybe we can begin at the beginning. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Change of Heart and a lot of your other projects too. You're just such an important figure when it comes to that 90s Toronto alt rock scene that I love hearing about. You're a key cog in the wheel. Are you self-aware, Ian?
No, I don't. Not really. I mean, just because things, it's like when you can look back at something, you can be like, oh yeah, but when you're in something, no.
So maybe this next hour is my duty is to make sure this is your life, Ian. All right, at the beginning, let's talk about it. Where does it begin for you in music? When did you realize you wanted to be a professional musician?
Oh, well, I guess I almost always. But I guess my mom has a memory of me. I was a huge Monkees fan when I was a kid, and because the reruns had started, I was born in '65. I think the rerun started in '69 or something like that. And my mom has this memory of me taking a skipping rope, taking one of the ends off, and putting it down the drain, so it looked like I had a mic cable.
Right.
And I'm running around in the kitchen singing into the mic cable at 6 or whatever.
Did you have a favorite Monkey?
Oh, Mike Nesmith, 100%. Nez, yes.
Oh. We just lost Mike.
Yeah, we just lost Mike, and especially even his post Monkey stuff is just fantastic.
Yeah, he was the cool monkey.
He was the cool monkey, and he I read his book is actually really good because he did a lot of stuff after the fact. He basically sort of helped invent MTV. Not specifically, but the idea of it. And he's a fascinating dude.
So you're pretending you're a monkey.
I'm pretending I'm a monkey at the age of 6, and also like my other favorite band at that point was the Banana Splits. I don't know if you know them, but
I've heard references to them, but it's a cartoon band. Is that a cartoon?
Well, no,
band?
they're furries,
Okay,
like they're original furries, and
Right.
they had costumes, and there was 4 of them, and they sang songs, and I don't think any of them played on any of the records, but yeah, those 2 things were like very key for me.
And did you like musical instrument wise? Like, is it you wanted to be is it drumming? What was your first?
Yeah, drumming was actually my first. Probably I think around 8, and then I moved over to guitar. The reason I moved over to guitar actually was because Rob Taylor, him and myself started Change of Heart. I was really young at the time, and we looked for members forever. And we just could not find a guitar player, so I switched over to guitar. And
well, the necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, and then we tried out a bunch of singers, and we couldn't find a singer, and I ended up singing. Yeah.
So you mentioned so Change of Heart. Like we're going to spend quite a bit of time here in the early part of our discussion here on Change of Heart. So, how far back does Change of Heart go exactly?
We started in '82. We went through. We didn't really have a lineup until we had lineups, but a solid lineup until probably around 84, 85. Like when Mike Armstrong, who was the percussionist, and Ron Duffy, who's the drummer, joined. I think the band really solidified there. And no offense to Steve or any of the previous drummers, but we sort of became a band, and we started having the gang mentality, which is key to being young and being in a band.
All right, your job now, because you were there, it's key. When I have somebody who was there, I wasn't there, man. I'm a bit younger than you and not nearly as cool as you. And
I'm such a dork. Come on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, dorks are smart.
Oh, yeah.
So I wish I was more dorky, to be quite honest with you, but okay.
I'm not saying I'm smart. I'm not, just for the record.
Maybe dorks aren't smart. I think it's nerds that are smart.
Oh yeah, nerds are smart.
Nerds are smart.
Dorks are just dorky.
Dorks are just dorks. Okay, so paint the scene for me, man. Like I always hear about the club circuit, and then you mentioned '82. That's going way back here, actually. But like where would Change of Heart in those early days? Where would Change of Heart play?
Oh God, well, we play, early show 100 Bond Street, which was, Bond right behind the Imperial there, the Imperial Pub. We played the Turning Point at Avenue Road in Bloor, God, I don't know how many times. The Beverly Tavern was the other one across from where Much Music is.
Is there a Much Music?
I don't even know, actually. That's kind of why I hesitated, because I don't really.
Media headquarters.
Yeah, sorry, Bell Media headquarters.
299 Queen West.
And actually, the Bev sort of closed down because they moved in. They thought they were going to be able to make it more upscale, lunchy type place, and that was actually the first place I ever played a live show, and I had to bring a note. I was so young that I had to go.
You were under 19 then?
Yes, I was 16 actually when I first started playing. And
okay, so and I will interrupt you because I'm a
totally
very
fine.
rude host. But Rob Pruce, I just want to shout him out because he'll be at TMLX. We have an event on September 1st, not far from here actually, at Great Lakes Brewery. It's going to be the 10th Toronto Mike Listener Experience, and Rob's coming in. He lives in New York now, but Rob, I just think of Rob when you talk about the note, because Rob needed a note to play of Spoons,
right?
Because he was only 15.
Right.
Yeah. I always think, these guys are really young in these bands.
Yeah,
but,
it was kind of foolish, Maybe I shouldn't have been there quite that young, but.
But you got the note, so.
I got the note. Yep.
Okay, and I'm guessing Cabana Room.
Cabana Room, yeah, a couple of times. God, I hated the worst load-in of all time. For those, I think it was the third floor, was it, or the second floor? But up the back, oh my God, just horrible.
And what about the Bamboo?
Yeah, played the Bamboo. There was a garage psych fest in '83. We played there.
Wow.
Yeah, like we've. Change of Heart sort of had. We were lucky that we basically ended up playing everywhere that we could possibly want to play, like including Maple Leaf Gardens and Massey Hall and the concert hall, and just being able to check those off, like especially for me playing the concert hall, it was like, oh my God, I've seen so many shows here. To be able to play here was just fantastic.
So before we get too far away from these early days, the origin of the name Change of Heart. I need the definitive answer from you, Ian Blurton.
Okay, what was it? I think it was a Mickey Rooney film, and it was subtitled Change of Heart, and we needed a name because we had a show.
Okay.
Classic, book the show before you have the name kind of thing. And so we just went like, there's the name.
Was it? I always envision it, and a lot of times it's exactly this. Like, okay, this will be our name, and then we'll find something better and change it.
Yes.
And then you never change it.
No, you never change it. And then 15 years later, we were like, oh, God. We actually did try to change the name while we were the band a couple of times, and it just never...
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Martha and the Muffins were here last month in the basement studio, and they did that. Like, they changed
M&M.
it to M&M.
Yeah.
Then they ended up changing it back, and it turned out Mark just didn't want to be a muffin anymore. Like, he was just Mark was tired of being a muffin.
What is wrong with muffins?
No, I don't
like
know,
muffins,
but he went
man.
back to it. But you don't establish a band with a name and then change the name.
No. You can change your lead singer, but changing your name is like...
Right. Although it worked for Rainbow Butt Monkeys.
That was probably for the best.
That was the last time it was successful, I think, was for Rainbow Butt Monkeys. Okay, so now, since you've been shouting out some of the clubs you'd play in the early days in Toronto, because, Toronto constantly changing, but now even when I think about all the trips me and my buddies would do to go downtown, jumping on the subway and going to Yonge and Dundas and walking the strip or whatever, like, it's so different today when I'm down there. But what can you tell me about the bands? Like, can you shout out the Toronto bands that were on the scene back then?
Oh, sure. Like,
and
we were
bury me in detail, Ian. I'm obsessed with the detail.
Okay, we were like, we were in this weird moment too, where punk rock was sort of dying. And a lot of the, Viletones, Demics, Diodes, those types of bands were like, not on the way out, but, definitely slowing down, or, Diodes moved to England. Right. And so it was just a lot of the post-punk kind of stuff was really happening. And, Rent Boys, I went to school with one of the Rent Boys, so I had, connection there. I should also, both my older sisters, the middle one was part of the punk rock community, so I did meet a lot of those, like, the punk rock people at that time. So that was very exciting for me. But Kinetic Ideals, Breeding Ground, Vital Signs, who's Glenn Milcham, who I've played with. He was the drummer in that band, who I've played with for, God, I don't know how long, 35 years or something like that. That's how I met him, and there was also, like, the hardcore thing was starting up, and we always had a strong affinity with a band called No Mind, who are sort of like, for lack of a better way of putting it, sort of Blue Cheer meets Black Flag.
Okay.
Like a lot of 60s psych influences, but like hardcore. And that was like sort of the band that we always worshiped, because they were kind of like a blend of two different things that you might not normally hear together. And we were like, we were always intrigued by the bands that were a little bit weird on the outside. Dave Howard Singers is another one, which, sort of our version of Suicide, just keyboards, drum machine, and vocal.
Amazing.
It was one guy, Dave Howard. And oddly, I went to a camp called Camp Beausoleil in the 80s, and it turned out that Dave was the counselor there. So,
Right.
Meeting up people later on, it was always interesting. What other bands were really...
Okay, while you think on that, though, you talked about the Toronto hardcore scene kind of back then. So now I need to cross-market. I just need to let people know, not too long ago, so this is episode 1088, episode 1051, Al Nolan, Brian McCullough, and Sean Sherry came by. And
that sounds like a bunch of trouble right
it
there.
Was. I'm looking at the picture now. Al's got his Palma pasta lasagna. Dude, do you eat lasagna?
I love lasagna.
You're leaving here. I'm not kidding. I feel like I'm Monty Hall again. It's in the freezer because I didn't know. Everybody, Ian just lifted the empty box from Palma Pasta, but that will be full when you leave today. You're going home just like Al loved his too. But yeah, we went deep into like the history of the I'm going to read what I wrote then, and then we'll get back to it. But Mike chats with Al Nolan, frontman for the almighty Trigger Happy, Brian McCullough, drummer for Youth, and Sean Sherry, author of Tomorrow is Too Late, about Toronto punk. So we did a hour and 41 minutes on the Toronto punk scene.
Right
so
on.
if people are digging this chat, they can go back afterwards and check out episode 1051. Now, drop more names, man. No more names? Come on.
No, I have lots of more names. It was just like, for us, it was an interesting, because of the type of band we were, because we would like draw influences from everywhere.
Yeah.
We were able to draw influences from a lot of different places in Toronto at that time, because there was the amount of bands was just, crazy, and the quality was really high.
Did you notice the sky changing?
Yeah, this guy just went.
So, okay, so I'll give real time, play by play here, but when Ian sat down, it was a beautiful day, and now that forecast looks like it might be accurate. So I am ready. It's the gear I worry about. So I will take some action should it happen, but hopefully we'll be okay.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
I brought the clouds with me.
Where's Harold Hossein when I need him? He told me to bring an umbrella, and Ian, I didn't listen. So okay. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
So just like there was a million amazing bands at that time. APV too, I really liked, which is and all these bands that went on to like the No Mind, the drummer ended up in the Doughboys and stuff. So it's like these people all continued their careers. I'm trying to think of another band that I loved from that time period, but drawing a blank.
That's okay. Okay, now I have a comment that came in from FOTM Cam Gordon. By the way, Ian, you're now in FOTM. That's friend of Toronto Mic'd. I think it's bigger. To me, it's bigger. I just had on Al Mayer from Attic Records, and he just got the Order of Canada, but being an FOTM is a much more prestigious honor.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, okay. So, Cam writes, I think Baby Change of Heart appeared on video hits with Samantha Taylor. If that happened, can you ask how? Also, can you ask if they ever played on breakfast television? Feels like I might be totally imagining both of these appearances.
Video hits. Was that John Major?
No, that was Toronto Rocks.
Okay, we were on Toronto Rocks with John Major.
Okay.
The only reason I know that is because Carson, who used to book the Rivoli, took Polaroids of while we were on it. So he gave me this stack of Polaroids years later.
Amazing. Because John's no longer with us. He died pretty young of cancer, like in his 50s.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I'm here to bear. On that note, shout out to Ridley Funeral Home, proud sponsor of Toronto Mike. But so did Cam have like a fever dream where he?
No, we were on breakfast television though, and it's Bernard didn't bring his keyboard stand, and his like keyboards are on a stool, and
okay.
I had bought these really goofy sunglasses at a garage sale the day before, and I'm wearing them, and we did. They were like, you have to play your mellowest song. So we played our mellowest song, and then they were like, okay, well, give us one song, to lead us out. And we played pretty much our heaviest song at that point.
Okay,
and it was like a quick fade.
Now, that's funny. They're like, this is too heavy for breakfast television. Too early for that. What is that first song you played?
On breakfast television?
Yeah.
Cat's Decline.
Okay. Okay, so throughout this conversation, if you don't mind, I'm going to play a few jams.
Yeah, that's totally great.
So here, okay. So it'll shock you to know I'm starting with this one. So let's listen for a little bit, and then I'll bring her down and talk to you.
Standing alone, do you find there's no one home? And if I could tell you, and if I could find, I would know all the reasons why. I'd reach out to kiss, but I read your breath, your jealous thought. You think I drop masks over you, that you could be any one of a crowd. Truth is, I put a crown much more than what's over your head. Truth is, I wanna be the wind and draw the day from your hair. There you go, standing alone. Do you find there's no one home? And if I could tell you, if I could find.
There you go. It's starting to rain. But you're okay.
It's fine.
Okay, we'll keep our eye on this developing story. It is now raining in the TMDS backyard studio, and Ian's fine, so I'm fine. I'll just make sure that the gear stays fine. But this jam, this is like, I don't know, it's tough to talk with a band like Change of Heart. You'd only talk about hits or whatever, right? But this was the big hit, right?
It was actually a hit in Saskatoon. There was just one program director was like, you know what? I like this song. And
Well, it's a great fucking song.
yeah.
So whoever that guy is, he's got good taste.
Yeah.
Like, I've been revisiting your stuff for the last couple of weeks, and it really takes me back, and it's a lot of great stuff. We're going to play a few more Change of Heart stuff before we get to some solo stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But so, like, in Canada, can we call this a top 40 hit?
I think it was top 40 in Saskatoon. It was not top 40 in Canada, though.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to spin it a bit. You need your marketing department to spin that a bit.
Yeah.
But what can you tell me, if you don't mind? What can you tell me about "There You Go"? Like the writing of.
Well,
There You
every
Go?
time I hear that song, because I don't know if you know, but that record is live off the floor in the studio, and no overdubs. And
Okay.
I accidentally I sang breast instead of breath, and we were like, the take is good, and so we just left it. So every time I hear breast, I'm like.
You cringe? Or no?
No, it makes me laugh.
Okay.
I don't cringe.
No cringing. No regrets. Okay. Well, so who produced, this is from Smile, right?
Yes.
So who produced Smile?
Michael Philip Ojuoda.
Now, you don't think he was spreading himself awfully thin? I mean, this guy's touching all these big CanCon albums. Like he was producing Gordon for Bare Naked Ladies and Whale Music for Real Statics.
Yes, at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all great.
Yeah. But, like the one thing, our record did take 4 days. It was like we literally loaded in on the whatever it was, the Monday.
4 days.
4 days.
So what was your budget for this album? Smile?
$3,000.
Get out of here.
Yeah, $3,000.
I'm charging you more for this appearance on Toronto Live.
Yeah, the label was like, okay, here you go. Here's $3,000.
Wow.
And we're like, well, how the hell are we going to make a record for $3,000? And I think I'm pretty sure it was Michael's idea. It was like, just do it live. And so
Because it's cool anyways. Like, and, it's like, again, necessity, mother of invention.
Yes, yeah. And also, to us at that time, like Husker Du and Minutemen were like,
Right.
the stuff, Oh, this is exciting.
So it's off, the wind is picked up. I like the play-by-play. Wind is picked up. The tarp, hopefully it doesn't blow away, but it's offering a
No,
little
it's good, it's
protection. And so long as Ian's into this, I'm into it. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
I'm
exciting,
fine.
right?
I'm fine, yeah.
You have these boring interviews. They give you 5 to 7 minutes, and it's like yawn. But here we are. It's raining. It's actively raining. The wind's picking up. We don't know what comes next, and we're going to be here for the long ride here, the long haul. Okay.
As long as there's no tornado.
Well, okay. Hopefully not, because I can't afford to replace this gear. So
Right.
that budget you have there, I wish I had that big $4,000 budget you have there. So, okay. Lots of questions about Change of Heart, and then I'll play a few more Change of Heart stories. But meanwhile, aren't you like, you yourself, you mentioned Michael Phillip there, multitasking with Bare Naked Ladies, Gordon, and Real Statics, Whale Music. And then is this like, when do you drum for the Cowboy Junkies?
Oh, that's way before that.
before.
Well, yeah. It was very, very brief. And I don't know who put that on my Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's on
but-
Wiki, so I have to ask
yeah,
about it.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know that's what.
all right, so that's really early. Okay, well, another FOTM who's been over and he played live in my basement, John Bora. Love that guy.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, he's going to come back because we talked about Change of Heart with him, of course. But you were in a Neon Rome with him?
Yes.
So whenabouts is that?
That is 84, 85, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really intense.
In a good way.
Sometimes. I actually quit the band on stage the night the singer threw glasses into the audience, and one of the glasses smashed and went around somebody's eye.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until someone
Somebody
loses an eye.
Exactly.
And then...
But like the very, very first show I ever played with them, I don't even think, maybe we rehearsed once or something. Like, it was a very open-ended song structure, to say the least. And Neil, the singer, had a lamp, like a regular side, lamp, like an old lamp that he was swinging over his head, and that was the only light on the stage, and he smashed it. and he sort of dove into the broken remains.
Oh,
And as he
like
got
Iggy
up,
Pop
there was
style.
like, yeah, totally Iggy Pop style. As he got up, there was a piece of it in his arm.
Oh my God.
And it went all the way down his arm, and he just kind of squeezed his arm and looking at me, and all this blood came out, and I was like, wow, this is going to be intense.
Wow. Okay. So you had to get out of there. You had to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Well, no, actually, I was there for quite a while,
Okay.
and then that show.
Is it the throwing the glass?
The throwing
I
the
think
glass.
that's it.
Like self is one thing, but when you're attacking other people, like, I don't know.
Okay, before I get to more change of heart with more change of heart questions, I'm going to play this off YouTube. So hold on. I'm playing this. Hold on here. All right. I can play by play. Looks like a man's eating a bowl of soup.
Oh.
That's in the music. That's not actually in the sky. But
I think we're going to Mexico, aren't we?
where are we going? Hold on. Because I got to find out what... I didn't even know about this jam, and then I just found it on YouTube here. And is it a long intro? I guess we could wait it out here. We got nothing better to do. But. So there's like a father and like a family at a table eating soup.
Oh, Jolly Tambourine Man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm like, soup,
Oh.
soup. I don't
Okay.
know.
So... Okay. I'm just giving...
Boy, they really like that jet sound in this video.
You know your sister doesn't like apple strudel.
the sister got up because she doesn't like apple strudel.
Yeah, there's some 80s drums.
That's all Phil Collins' fault, isn't it? The 80s drums? Or no? Okay, so
somewhat.
this is ripped from Much Music. It's called Apple Strudel Man by Jolly Tambourine Man. So what is this?
That's actually the first record that I was ever on.
Wow. So you drum on this.
I drum on, I play a little guitar.
You know, I miss when Much Music played videos. Like, here I am, I'm watching Much Music again. Like, I used to spend so many hours watching Much Music videos, and you never knew what was coming up. But,
Right.
Look, this thing got... this is regular rotation. Jolly Tambourine Man. So just how did that end up being before we get you back to Change of Heart?
How did it end up being in rotation?
Yeah, like, how did... you just...
It was
needed
just that weird time when they needed stuff, and it just...
And you were there.
It actually ended up getting played quite a bit.
Okay. Here we go. They spelled Apple Strudel Man wrong on Much Music. You have to see this, man. It's like... Yeah, that's not how you spell strudel, but okay. So according to this commenter here, Jolly Tambourine Man was the first Much Music underground Canadian content superstars. Anyway, take that for what it's worth. But
Yeah.
This is the first real song you ever appeared on.
Yeah, first release. Well, no, I mean first vinyl release. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Change of Heart had put out a couple of cassettes by that point,
All right, there. I wanted to address that while I have you here.
and that has Mike Armstrong from Change of Heart is playing percussion on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So back to...
and that goes to Seed School, like because we all went to a school called Seed, a bunch of us at any rate. So Steve Rhodes, who's the singer there, and Mike and I.
Amazing, amazing. I'm going to ask you about T-shirts now. Okay, so first I'm going to ask you about a T-shirt you wore, because I find this interesting. I think it was a Kumbaya.
Oh, no.
Okay. First of all, Kumbaya, that's a Molly Johnson initiative, right?
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Molly Johnson.
Shout out to Molly Johnson for doing the work.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the Jake Gold coming over talking about the calls he was getting from Molly. Yeah, she was large and in charge for that important event there. But you're a part of Kumbaya.
Yes, I think we did it twice.
Okay. And you took the stage once at Kumbaya with a T-shirt that read "Bare Naked Ladies Suck."
Yes.
Okay, was that a ironic T-shirt or what was that?
Okay. First of all, you should explain that we were playing with Bare Naked Ladies. It was both.
Right.
It was both bands together doing a Max Webster cover, and on the back of that shirt it says "So do we."
Okay.
Yeah.
See, context is everything.
Yeah, and it was just a homemade shirt, and I thought it was funny. People took it the wrong way, unfortunately. It was like in fun.
I mean, clearly. I mean, all we need to know is that in the video for Brian Wilson, which might be the greatest song Stephen Page ever wrote, FOTM Stephen Page, he's wearing a He's wearing a change of heart T-shirt.
Yes, that was our manager's promo idea, getting people to wear shirts. And
Do you remember all the? Because I have a short list, but do you remember all the CanCon video stars who don change of heart T-shirts?
Well, there's Andrew from Sloan,
And that's for Underwhelmed.
Mr. Page there.
And those are such massive '90s CanCon jams, like Underwhelmed and Brian Wilson.
Glenn wore one in a Blue Rodeo video.
Rain Down on Me. Hey, I didn't even know what I was saying there.
Great.
It's perfect timing. Rain Down on Me.
I think that's it.
Okay, but that's pretty damn cool. Okay, another.
Yeah, it was actually, like, that's the kind of stuff that's like, wow, thank you so much for doing that. You didn't have to do that. And actually, I don't think Andrew was part of what I'm talking about with Don there. I think he just did that on his own.
And am I remembering correctly? Is it Even Grable? Are you in the video for Treble Chargers Even Grable? Or am I misremembering that? You're trying to think. Maybe it's not you guys.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Okay, I thought you might be in there, and maybe Hayden, or maybe I'm conflating a whole bunch of stuff. It's all a blur to me. It's all a blur to me,
Blurton.
So here, I'm gonna play another Change of Heart song, because then I'm gonna run in. I'm just gonna grab a umbrella from Ridley Funeral Home. They actually gave me an umbrella, just so I can, if it does pour, because it could happen anymore. I'm just gonna hold it here to protect the laptop. So here's a bit of Change of Heart. I'll be right back.
Follow eternity, quicksand versus time, midnight maneuver, confusion, contract, everything is fine. Don't be mistaken, so supreme they'll hold you to the end. Don't be misguided, who is chosen when they really are your friends. Pull the trigger, like a bullet, feed the gun, hit the target, get it started. Love is more than number one. Sensory perception, mass logic, broken line, smoke and light show, triangle of misfits, species, genocide, lost tribe. Clear-cut anthologies told online without really explaining why. When I guess the truth is hard to tell, when your story is based on lies. Move a mountain, changing shape, being a slave, don't be late. To your dreams.
I love this song.
It's
Anyway,
bringing back good memories, actually.
okay, share that with us all. Like, what are you thinking of when you're listening to Trigger?
Well, I'm specifically thinking of Joe Barisi, who's like one of my production heroes, producer heroes. Mixed that and just having an incredible time we mixed it at Le Studio in Morin Heights, which was where Rush and April Wine recorded a lot.
Wow.
And, Keith Richards and just, a whole bunch of people.
Just a
and
bunch of bums like that.
Bet you a bunch of bums like that, and just sitting there in the control room with watching Joe work his magic, and yeah, it was. I'd never worked with an American mixer before, and so it was just interesting to see how the difference what the difference was.
Okay, and I'm listening in the headphones here, and just fucking want to move, man. If it sounds
Break stuff.
Yeah, shout out to I was gonna say shout out to Fred Durst.
No.
no shout out to Fred Durst there. Okay, you opened for the Tragically Hip. Which tour was that?
Oh gosh, we actually, I think 3 tours. We
Three
did a
tours.
Roadside Attraction.
Okay.
We did Day for Night all the way across Canada with the Odds, sorry. And we also did a whole American tour with them, which was still one of my favorite tours of all time.
And you play smaller like club shows down in the States?
Yeah, or theaters.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I've probably said this before, but I should say this again. There's that whole thing about how the hip, was never really broke in the U.S. And those shows that we played with them, they were like rammed, and they were like 1,000-seater. And I don't even know a lot of like bigger indie bands at that point that were doing that many numbers, you know? So it's
Right.
like, I always felt that was like weird that people would be like, well, they never broke in the States. And then
right.
you'd play a show with them and there'd be like 800 rabid or 1,000 rabid people. I mean, we played a show with them at Trees in Dallas that was insane. I mean, it was crazy. There was a pregnant woman laying on the front of the stage. There was a guy in a wheelchair in the pit. Like, it was just like, wow.
I think it was just comparing them to here, which is really an unfair comparison. But
Yeah, it is an unfair.
They could sell out, what's it called today? They could sell out the Scotiabank Arena, 5 nights in a row if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So, they aren't going to sell out the equivalent, maybe in Buffalo, actually. But I'm not
maybe
sure.
Buffalo.
Buffalo, man, they listen to a lot of CFNYs. So
yeah.
a lot of these
Huge.
guys, I mean, I'm good friends of the guys from Lowest of the Low, for example. And they can go to Buffalo and they're huge because of the 102.1 signal.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
What was your relation? What was Change of Hearts again? So, and then I'll come back to the hip actually. But what was Change of Hearts' relationship like with radio? Like who would play you guys?
We did pretty good with radio. We had our pocket of supporters. We did one really foolish thing though, where we on the Roadside Attraction tour.
Uh-huh.
The song "It Should Be" had just come out as a single, and we weren't playing it, and that was like, I still feel like that was a massive
Self-destructive
Holy
behavior.
shit! Sorry, can I swear?
Yeah.
Yeah, what a terrible idea. What a terrible idea.
Okay, now I just mentioned Lowest of the Low, and I've had Ron Hawkins and Lawrence Nichols over here a bunch of times,
Wonderful people.
and it really does sound like that's a band that suppressed their fame. Like they did all the things to like almost like not be big, like from not doing videos. Like, it's like try to picture like all these big jams we heard on 102.1 from Lowest of the Low. Like they should have been, much music stars, but there's like they just would do a whole whack of stuff, like almost like that punk mentality to like not be too famous and not get too big.
Right.
Like self-inflicted.
I think we had that same problem. I think it's called self-sabotage.
Right.
Is actually what it's called.
Self-sabotage. So there's a sense of change of heart because critical darlings and musicians, but never as big as like a Blue Rodeo or whatever.
Oh God, no.
No, I
God,
know.
no, not even close.
Right. So like it was a lot of that self-sabotage. Like, and is that simply because that's the punk thing to do?
Some of it was that. I mean, when we worked really hard. We played a lot of shows. We went back and forth across Canada. I don't know how many times.
Right.
So we did that part. Our relationship with the industry wasn't as good as it should have been. It took us a long time to get signed, for example.
Well, tell me that story, because tell me that story, because I mean, eventually I'm going to ask you about the CFNY Discovery to Disc competition. But yeah, like what did it take to get Change of Heart signed?
Well, there was a guy, Randy Boyd, who, God, I can't even. It might have been Psych Industries he was working at the time, but he bought a whole whack of copies of our very first record, 50 Feet Up. He loved the record, and he sent it around to like people, unprovoked, to send it around to people and tried to help us as much as he could. And then when he was working at Cargo, he signed us, and we had been on Fringe before. And that was a little weird because almost all, our label mates at that point were like, Corrosion of Conformity, Black Flag, Dead Kennedys, basically every hardcore band. Right. And we obviously not a hardcore band at all. So that was a little weird. And then Randy signed us to Cargo, and they're a wonderful label. They really tried to do a lot for us. They, I guess they released our first record ever outside of Canada, which was really nice, But then the budget thing, $3,000 came up, and we just realized that we needed something else, so we started looking for a label. And initially, we were very hesitant, actually, to do the things that lawyers and people were saying we should be doing, and I don't know. We had a really excellent manager very early on who drilled a lot of things into our heads that were now, in retrospect, are like, wow, these are really great ideas. And I think maybe we just took some of them a little too far, I guess.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, just being off, not being super friendly, towards the industry, I guess, is probably where we took it too far. And doing things like not playing a single is just, like
self-sabotage.
Yeah, self-sabotage. Spending, that kind of money on a video and being on this tour and then not playing the song and,
So why didn't you play the song? Just like,
Well,
the people want you to,
we were a democracy and we would vote on everything. And if you lost the vote, then that's, the way it goes.
Interesting.
The manager probably should have, at that point, been like, what in the hell?
Guys, give your heads a shake.
Yeah,
you
like,
got to
what are
play
you
the new
doing?
single. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But no, we could play this weird song in 7/8 in front of 30,000 people who want to hear the hip.
It's fun. Every once in a while you hear about a heritage band that's going out touring and they're not playing the big hit. And then I always think like, okay, these guys whether you know it or not, they're not actually buying the ticket to hear the new stuff. Like they're actually looking for the nostalgia hit.
Right,
like,
right.
That's
why would you even be a heritage band and go out and not play the hit? Like, can you imagine the promoter? He's like, or she is like, I just paid you $20,000 and you don't play, whatever.
You're not going to play the song. Play the song.
Yeah, play the song.
And then you often hear stories, not too many of modern bands, but older bands where like they have the one big song and they play it twice. You ever heard these stories?
I actually saw Big Country at Massey Hall on my birthday. Oh my God, what year is it? I'm going to say 84. They did In a Big Country 3 times.
Okay.
They opened with it, they closed with it, and then it was the encore.
And I bet you that was a happy audience. Like that's
It was actually. It was. But it's like maybe learn a cover. If you don't have the material.
3 times.
3 times.
Oh,
yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's like Neil Young does that too, right? I think
well,
that's more of
Neil's got
an FU or something.
Yeah. Neil's good at that. I once paid to see Neil Young, and he, for like a 10-minute jam song, he like turned his back to the audience, and it was like, okay, Neil's gonna kneel, which is fine. That's Neil
I
Young.
got punched in the throat at a Neil Young show once for being a punk.
Oh, for being a punk.
Yeah.
Like they didn't like how you were dressed.
Yeah, and the guy just like I was walking through the audience, and he just bam right in the throat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it hurt.
And you picked a tough business, Ian. Like it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not.
Oh, that could be the name of Change of Heart. You could be Faint of Heart.
Hey-o.
Write that down. Okay. All right. So when you were touring with the Hip, just to come back to the Tragically Hip, were they good to you? I hear they're pretty good.
They were
supporting
awful.
Band.
They were so bad to us. Oh my
You're
God.
You're being facetious.
They're wonderful, wonderful. They've been so supportive, even post like. Just really great. They put us on a lot of good shows. I had one major freak out once when we got hipped in Seattle, which is, I don't know if anyone's ever been to a hip show, but like when the audience starts just chanting hip, you're in deep trouble. And I've only actually ever seen it to happen to bands that are on directly before.
Right.
And we were on directly before them in Seattle, and oh boy.
That's an ignorant move, man, because I've been at by the way, there's some beautiful birds right now. I think that's a woodpecker there, but some beautiful nature here.
Beautiful woodpecker.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Okay, hello, buddy. I had a fox back here yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, he hopped the fence and went that way. I never saw foxes until like the last few years, and now I'm seeing foxes all over the place. Like I don't know if there's been like a big... during the pandemic, the foxes came back to life or something. I don't know. But
yeah, there's one in our neighborhood too. I saw him in the middle of winter last winter.
Yeah, I never used to see him. Okay, where was I? Do you know where I was going, man?
You're asking about the hip, I think.
Yeah, something about the hip. Here, let me. That sucks that I got so distracted by a woodpecker.
Okay.
It'll come back to me.
I can just say how wonderful they were, and they're.
Oh, being hip, yeah, the ignorance of an audience, yes.
Oh, yeah,
and I
there
just
you
remembered,
go.
okay, because like I've been at a bunch of, I was at a bunch of show where people want the headliner and they start doing stuff, and then like, do they think is the thought process of the masses who are probably inebriated at that time in their defense, and not that that's a defense, but the audience thinks that if the opening or the opening band, if they wrap early, the headliner will come on early. Like, is that the idea? Like, the headliner's coming on a half an hour after this band finishes, so throw bottles at this band. I was at an Edgefest once where they, I think it was Nickelback, believe it or not, was the headliner, and the crowd was so eager to get Nickelback, they basically chased off Cake. And the Nickelback audience isn't going to appreciate Cake, to be honest. That was a bad night. But
I don't think so.
They threw the bottles at Cake, and then Cake really early in the set just said, peaced out because it was like dangerous.
Yeah.
And, there's Nickelback still coming on at 11. It just means there's a longer wait.
Yeah.
Like, don't be ignorant. Yeah. Anyway.
I saw Serial Joe get absolutely smoked with a whole bunch of stuff once at pretty sure it was an Edgefest.
I was there.
Or a somersault, maybe. It was a somersault.
Okay, well, that was a mistake. See, that's the big hit by Serial Joe. So I know.
Oh, man.
Okay. You know who managed Serial Joe?
Yes, the mom.
But then after that,
oh no,
Kim Clark Champness from Much Music.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
In fact, Kim was with them when they played Woodstock '99, which is, you might have seen a few documentaries about Woodstock '99. I think there's another one coming. But they had a documentary, I think it was Netflix, on Woodstock '99 that was in production, and they were calling it Clusterfuck. But they would put like a couple of dots or asterisks instead of UC, and it was a cluster. But you knew it was Clusterfuck. And I think they decided to change the name to Trainwreck, but I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, because there's no trains involved.
And it's like, Clusterfuck's a good name.
Yeah.
Like, we're in an era where even though they put the asterisks, we can't call a Netflix thing about like a rock and roll festival Clusterfuck. We have to change it to Trainwreck. Like, to me, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like the Christian right got a hold. We're not going to allow our children to watch a documentary called Clusterfuck. Change it to Trainwreck. Okay. Anyway. Blue Rodeo. So we've been talking a bit about Blue Rodeo, but you opened for them as well.
Yes, we opened. I think Tragically Hip and Blue Rodeo are the two bands I've seen the most in my life, like by far. And Blue Rodeo are always amazing as well and gracious, and I have some spectacular memories of that tour, or a couple of tours that we did with them. They took us through Northern Ontario once on the way to Thunder Bay, like Highway 11, like South Porcupine, and like all these weird Kapuskasing and stuff. And those shows were really cool because, the type of band that we were, you wouldn't get that opportunity normally. So it was like we got to go and play to some weird places. It was great.
Steve Waxman, who used to be with Warner Music, has promised to deliver Jim Cuddy to the Toronto Mike studio here. So he's working on that. So there's my little Blue Rodeo promotion, a little teaser here. All right, I'm going to play another Change of Heart song, and then I want to ask you about Discovery to Disc, because I was a big fan of these Discovery to Disc CDs. And let's play this. Little Kingdoms. Sounds good in your headphones?
Yeah, it does.
Change of Heart's a good band. You should check them out, man.
I've never actually seen them.
It's
weird.
That's true. It's true. Okay. So actually, a little housekeeping here. So Rob Taylor and you are like the founders of Change of Heart. Would that be fair to say? So why does Rob leave the band? Because Rob leaves before the '97 breakup, right?
Yes, he left after Smile, or sort of in the Smile touring cycle.
So what? He just wanted to do something else? What happened there?
He went to...
What's the real talk there, Ian?
The real talk. I think he was just... you'd have to ask him for sure. But that was another thing about Change of Heart is like not speaking our minds. What back then was always, being younger and stupider.
Right.
I probably should have asked him more, but I think the burnout factor was there, and we weren't really making that any money or anything like that. And living hand to mouth, and
Well, that's a good point. Like sometimes I think people are like surprised when they find out on Toronto Mike that the band with the albums that they were spinning all the time and enjoying on whatever Much Music or CFNY or whatever, like that they're not like driving around in like a Mercedes Benz or whatever. Like it's tough. Like is it tough? And I know the answer, but I want to know what you think. Like, is it tough for a band like Change of Heart to just be musicians and to make a living off their music? Like, is that even possible?
It was sort of like by the end we were on a living wage.
Okay. But that was the old Toronto.
That was the old Toronto, actually. And dude, no, that's a very, very good point.
Right.
And like, I don't think you could do that anymore. But yeah, we were on a, we had our rent covered every month and some extra cash.
Okay.
And got our, per diems and stuff. But it took a long, long time. And, we had like a lot of setbacks. There was like the first album, we sent a whole bunch to be distributed in the States, and the company went out of business. So we lost all that money. We cracked an engine block on tour in 90 in California, which was, just a nightmare trying to get it fixed because the emissions, you had to get a proper, couldn't just throw something in there and roll out. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So we had like a lot of things like that happen where we, had to end up coming home to work to pay off the debts of touring,
Well, this country is difficult to tour, just geographically speaking.
Oh my God.
I've seen Hardcore Logo, okay?
Yeah. It's really wide. And, it's funny. It's like our first tour, we were out for 9 weeks. And, back then it was like you'd do 3 nights in a lot of places, which is really good as a band because you get to play tons, like I'm talking like 3 sets or whatever, 2 sets for 3 nights.
Okay.
And then that changed. And once you get to 1 night in Canada, it's a little bit harder. Getting from, Edmonton to Saskatoon to Winnipeg to Thunder Bay to Sudbury or Sault Ste. Marie to Toronto is like, whoa.
Yeah, and it usually, like, not only do you not make money on these tours, but you're trying to, like, lose less. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that was definitely... And, the whole idea of, like, well, you should really budget your tour. It's like, well... That sure, you can budget a tour, but like, does it really matter in the long run? Because it's not going to be what you write down on paper.
Right, you need to get like a bicycle trailer, throw all the gear in there, and bike.
We actually toured in our first tour was in a 4-seater Volvo with a U-Haul, and it was crazy when looking back on it. But nowhere to lay down. But it was so fun.
But when you're young, you'll do a lot of...
And we camped on that tour. We camped.
That's so Canadian. Ron James just was coming back from a tour. He was just here. That's why he's fresh of mind here, comedian Ron James. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, he drove from the West Coast or whatever, and he would camp along the way. And I was thinking, like, that's the Canadian tour right there, camping on your way. So.
Oh, my God. I have this incredibly vivid memory of we played in Winnipeg for 3 nights. It was our first... out of Ontario show. We played in Winnipeg for 3 nights, and the sound man, not that I do this anymore, but he gave us acid at the end of the 4 nights, and we drove to Diefenbaker Lake the next day and camped, and we dropped acid in there, and just like the 4 of us as these kids sitting under the stars. For me, like sitting under the stars like that for the first time tripping on acid was pretty amazing.
Wow. Okay. Do you smoke weed?
Yes, I do.
Shout out to Canna Cabana. Okay, seriously, there's an ashtray for you on top of the. You take that when you're enjoying a smoke. You got an ashtray from Canna Cabana. They won't be undersold on cannabis or cannabis accessories. Over 100 locations across this country. Go to cannacabana.com. And since I've interrupted to shout out some sponsors, I just want to shout out Doer Pants and Shorts, the world's most comfortable pants and shorts. Also, the shirts are damn comfy too. You can go to doer.ca, DUER.ca, or go to the retail store on Queen Street West and use the promo code Toronto Mike, all one word, and you save 15%. You'll look good. They're rugged. They're comfy. The clothes is amazing. And it helps the show. So thank you for your support these last few months. Doer. And you mentioned Winnipeg right there. So you mentioned, since you said the word Winnipeg, that means I have to go to Sammy Cohn's question. Sammy, by the way.
Like the Sammy Cohn?
The Sammy Cohn,
Wow.
right? Drummer for the Watchmen.
Wow. And realtor.
Yeah, well, apparently successful. I follow him on Twitter, and he's like, I was Employee of the Month last month. And I was thinking, because he did sponsor this program for 1 month. I'm thinking, Sammy, times are good. Time to come back, buddy.
Yeah.
He wants to know, like any good Winnipegger, this is the question, any good stories about recording the Weaker Thans? Now, okay, so he's specifically looking for stories about your time spent in Winnipeg. I'm trying to go chronologically. So, like, I want to talk about this Discovery to Disc competition because I'm always curious
before
about
this.
that. Yes. So, because this is all, like, I know Change of Heart breaks up in 97. So maybe, okay, so we'll put a pin. This is corporate speak. Have you ever been in a boardroom? Okay, we'll put a pin in the Sammy Cohn question.
Do I look like I've been in a boardroom?
Yeah, you know what? You'll never be allowed in a boardroom, which is by design, right? Like, you're like my hero because I have that in me. Like, I kind of sometimes I think like let me do some shit to make just to fuck up my look so that people like won't take. I can't be corporate. Like, it's almost like, not that you got a fucked up look, but you got a very cool look that tells me you work in rock and roll.
I do work in rock and roll.
Where else could you work?
The circus.
Of course. Okay. So
I could be a carny.
I was a carny
You
at
were?
the CNE for 3 summers as a
Wow.
teenager.
Wow, cool. Do you have a Conklin shirt?
No, because I wasn't with Conklin. I was with
Oh.
Astro Zodiac Enterprises. Shout out to Ardo Gadaro. But
Sorry, is that post-Conklin then?
no, it was coincided. So Conklin doesn't have the monopoly. So there are other gaming booth operators or whatever that coexist with Conklin. But there was a Carney code one night. An inebriated boyfriend of this woman, she was a big Madonna fan during the Blonde Ambition tour. She wanted me to take her to a Blue Jay game because CFTR gave me 2 tickets to see the Blue Jays, and there was a pizza party. This is the most Toronto story ever, but I took her because I was her boss, actually. I was a game booth manager, but I took her, and then her boyfriend found out I went to this Blue Jay game with her, which was completely platonic, I'll point out. And this boyfriend wanted to beat the shit out of me, and he was older, and he was late at night, and he was drunk, and I actually was, I'm not the biggest dude you've ever seen, as you see. So I actually went to the Conklin guys for help. And this one Conklin Carney guy, he said, you're with Ardo's crew, right? And I said, yeah. And he took a pipe, and he started smacking it into his hand, and he yelled back at the other Carneys and said, you up for a fight, boys? And all these Carneys came out, and I got the fuck out of Dodge. I don't know what happened, except this guy never bugged me again. I think they scared the shit out of this guy.
No, those dudes were like...
There's a code, man.
Yeah, there's a code.
And it was
actually,
like,
it's not just dudes because actually I know.
Not just dudes.
Sorry,
Not just
I shouldn't
dudes.
say
I know. It's just dude is non-gendered in my opinion. I call women dudes all the time. But okay, so there's my quick Carney story. The CNE's back this year. Okay, so we're going to go in chronological order. I have some points I need to hit before you get bored and leave. Okay, so CFNY has the Discovery to Disc competition. Okay, tell me, what is this? 90, what year is this?
I don't even know.
You don't know? Okay.
Let's see, 93.
So tell me, like, what did you have a specific song that was entered? Like, you win this Discovery to Disc. No.
We actually, I think we got there half an hour before the contest closed, and just because somebody was like, you guys should just, because we didn't have a deal at the time, like because
and this is $100,000.
Yeah, and it was $100, and somebody was like, you guys should just do that, and we were like, maybe that's not a bad idea, and so
do you remember who said that?
Fuck. I don't want to say it's Bookman, but I think it might have been Bookman.
Well, it's just then, as you know, Bookie they just unveiled the plaque. I was actually interviewing Hal Johnson from Body Break, and I couldn't be there, but I had FOTM correspondents Mark Weisblot and Cam Gordon on the scene to report back. But a lot of, I saw Lawrence Nichols was there, and a lot of good FOTMs on the scene. But Bedini, of course, and Michael Hollett and John Bora was there.
Right.
We'll get to it in a minute. But okay, so...
so we hand the thing in like literally a half an hour before the contest closes. And I just still remember like walking in and plunking the CD down.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
And is that in Brampton? Where do you?
No,
were they at Bathurst?
I feel like it was
at
Bathurst and Bloor.
Okay, the edge of Bathurst Bloor. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you beat. I mean, earlier I mentioned Treble Charger and then Killjoys too.
Yeah, that was our big competition.
Yeah, Mike Treblecock. Yeah, those guys are great.
I love them. There was a beef between the two bands for a while.
Was
though.
there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I need to hear about this. That's
I don't really
FOTM
remember what it was.
Prime.
I feel like it was maybe management or something. I don't know.
But because people are drawn to a fight, it's like Oasis and Blur, right? It was good for everybody.
It was hardly anything as interesting as that.
Just
although that was probably made up by the managers as
right.
well, right?
No, I did hear one of them. I hope he gets AIDS and dies.
Oh yeah, that's a horrible quote. Oh my god.
So I think that's not quite management, but okay.
No.
So you win, and what does that enable you to do? The CFNY Discovery to Disc win.
Well, they let us use the money in pretty much any way we wanted to. So I think we each got $5,000 to get new gear. We spent part of it remixing Tummy Suckle, which had already been mixed and released.
Right.
With there's like a hand stamped cover, and we went to Morin Heights. That was with Joe Barisi that I was talking about, and then we used the rest of the money and we invested in a studio called Chemical, which my friend Daryl Smith was running. And sort of not co-owners, but co-conspirators with Daryl, and that sort of led to my your present career, I guess.
Which we're going to get to, and that'll when we get back to Sammy's question here. But John Bora, we mentioned a few times, but he replaces...
he replaces...
Rob Taylor, right?
Rob Taylor, yeah.
And that's before this victory in the CFNY.
Yes, this is part of the victory, yes.
So we're getting the right timelines here. Okay, so why does Change of Heart... Actually, yeah, let's do that now. Why does Change of Heart break up in 1997?
I can only speak for myself, but I was so burnt out. I felt like it had run its course. And nothing against anybody who's in the band, but I just felt like, honestly, like because Rob and I had started the band, and like let me just really say this is nothing against anyone who was later in the band, but Rob and I felt like without Rob there was like an element missing, because I mean a lot of people don't know this, but like he took care of the art, he wrote almost all 70% of the lyrics, let's say 75% of the lyrics. His attitude was integral to the band, and I think just the farther we strayed away from that, even though I love playing with those people, it just felt like it was like maybe a different band,
That's fair. I mean, you guys started it together, and
exactly, and like 10 years of like right beside each other, and yeah.
And this is when you form Blurtonia.
Yes.
Where did that name come from?
This woman oh God, it's the worst name. This woman I used to know, I haven't seen her in a long time, but she used to call me the king of all Blurtonia. And I was figuring out a band name is one of the hardest parts of being in a band, period. And I don't know why I went with that name. I thought it was going to be like a little one-off kind of solo-y thing, and then it evolved into a band. So by the time the second record came around, there was actually a band.
It's sort of like the band Manfred Mann, because Manfred Mann was the name of like the keyboard guy. But
yes.
And it's like, I don't think, as I understand it, the rest of the band never cared for this, because it's like, wait, that's your name. It's now the band's name. It's
right.
like, anyway, so Blurtonia, but you are the man. Okay, so the question I have for you is, I should just preface this by telling you I currently produce a podcast for Humble and Fred, which means I spend a lot of time with Humble and Fred, and I've seen they have hanging in their studio wall, on the studio wall, they have like a poster for Humble and Fred Fest. Okay.
Oh, with Blurtonia at Fort York.
Yeah. So I've got a photo of this. I've seen it many times, the lineup of Humble and Fred Fest at Fort York. Do you have any memories of Humble and Fred Fest?
I do. I remember being smoked by Tricky Woo. Like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm now trying to visualize the poster, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think we should have been on before them because they were actually doing, I feel like I got put higher up on the bill just because of previous things.
because of Change of Heart.
Yeah, and Tricky we were absolutely on fire at that point. So it was a rough go.
So for all
I think that might have actually been one of our first shows of the touring lineup. Maybe even the first show.
And at what point do you decide you're going to go solo?
Do you mean like post Blurtonia?
Yeah, post Blurtonia.
The first record kind of was a solo record. I did make it by myself, more or less, with like a lot of guests, and then it became a band. That sort of happens with me a lot.
Okay.
And I didn't really go. I'm trying to think of what happened next. I guess I joined Bionic.
Right. And then Come On.
And then Come On. Yeah.
Another great name for a band. Come On.
Yeah, we were shocked when we were like looking around and for a name and that hadn't been used. It was like, wow, that's crazy.
Okay, and right. Okay, so we're gonna get to the questions now here because I don't want to leave these guys out. Because Hamilton Mike, and then we'll get back to Sammy's question. But because we'll talk about all the great artists you produced albums for, and then there's even an FOTM who I correspond with often on Twitter, who said some really nice things about you. So brace yourself, buddy. But Hamilton Mike, he says, ask him, besides Glenn Milcham being a ridiculously amazing, versatile drummer and insanely kind person,
True.
myself having met him before, why does he seem to be his go-to drummer? Wait, I answered my own question. Okay, so say some nice things about Glenn Milcham there, if you...
Well, Glenn and I seem to have... as a musician, when you come across people that you connect with, it doesn't happen all the time. And so when you do connect with somebody and you know that they can pull it off,
right,
you kind of tend to stick with them. And Glenn has like always, he brings 100% to like whatever he's doing. And I think that's what makes such a joy to play with him is like, he's always right there. Like he always has great ideas. And I just got to say that as an aside, Damon Richardson, who was the last drummer in Change of Heart, is somebody I play with still a lot too.
Cool.
And I feel like lucky that I know I consider them two of the best drummers in Canada. And, Glenn's in my current band and Damon played on the first album of this current band. Cool. Or at least half of it. So, but yeah, Glenn is he's fantastic. And, like he was my neighbor in the early 90s. We lived on Bathurst side by side. And I just always respected him and his playing. And I don't know.
Amazing. Okay, So we're going to close this conversation with Future now, but we're going to talk briefly here about some other, artists you produced albums for. So, because there's some pretty big heavyweights here. But we will open with Sammy Cohn's favorite band, one of his favorite bands, being a good Winnipegger, the Weaker Thans. What was it like producing an album for the Weaker Thans?
I've done 3. Every time really fantastic. I have nothing but respect for that band. I love the way they work. I love their songs. I think John K. Sampson is probably one of the best lyricists ever from Canada.
Agreed.
And I have lots of great memories. Like my most vivid memory is definitely the first record I worked on with them on was Left and Leaving. And
great album, by the way.
Thank you.
Great album.
Not that I had anything to do with it.
Well, you did have something to do with it.
Yeah, but
if the songs aren't there, Ian.
Yeah, but if the songs aren't there and the band isn't good, then it's like it's a long shot.
It takes a village.
It takes a village. But I stayed in John's apartment. He stayed elsewhere, and it was like right on Albert Street, and right beside the Royal Albert. And so I just have a very vivid memory of like walking around the Osborne Village and stuff.
Okay, that also satisfies Sammy's other question because he wants to know what you thought of your time in Winnipeg.
I love Winnipeg. I've actually spent a lot of time there, even outside of playing.
Have you ever bumped into FOTM Fred Penner when you're walking around Winnipeg?
No, I haven't, but that would be amazing. I did watch an amazing Sue Foley show though once, standing outside Times Changed. I guess one of the vivid. We did one of the Weaker Thans records in February in Winnipeg, and that was really cold.
Well, it was Neil Young and the Guess Who guy.
Portage and Main.
Portage and Main. Was it 50 below?
Yeah, and that's where I was staying, exactly where I was staying. So it was like, oh, it was cold.
And I'm sorry for calling Randy Bachman, the great Randy Bachman, I called him the Guess Who guy. I don't think that's cool. But okay. So Randy Bachman, by the way, has a new podcast, but my problem with it is it's basically a terrestrial radio show that they're issuing as a podcast. I like it when podcasts are like made for podcast audiences because we're very different, but this is clearly made for terrestrial radio to air.
Right.
And then they just made it a podcast, which is, so he gets he talks for a minute about the song and then you hear, but it's always the big hits from the same bands. Like I would rather it would be like some deeper stuff and some bigger mind blows and stuff. But anyways, who am I to judge the great Randy Bachman? Okay, so we talked about Lowest of the Low earlier. What was it like? Which albums did you produce for Lowest of the Low?
Sword Fiction.
Which is great too, but I'm a big fan. But yeah, great album.
Yeah, there were... I don't have a lot of memories of recording that record. Was
that the acid? Were you dropping a lot of acid?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of acid and...
Stick to cannabis. You'll remember everything, but okay.
Maybe. I just really remember hanging with them more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
we mixed that record in Seattle, and... I feel like, oh no, I'm drawing a blank.
It's okay. It's okay. It's been a long career there, man. You're still here, man, and you're feeling good.
I do remember though once coming from lunch, and we're like all walking and we're talking, and Ron's right beside me, and this woman drives by on a bike, and her handlebar grabs the cuff of my jean jacket and just rips it right off, and I'm just standing there like looking at my jean jacket. Why do I remember
and it's
that?
Ripped. Well, yeah, because you love that jean jacket.
I did
and she
love
ripped
that jean.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Once you fall in love with a jean jacket,
you're stuck.
Of course, you're gonna remember that. Oh my God, there's another biking catastrophe there. Okay, and I'm just cherry picking a few here because you worked with so many great artists. But I just want to ask about. We mentioned Bedini was at the plaque unveiling outside of Horseshoe Tavern for Dave Bookman the other day. Real Statics.
Pretty weird. We didn't really get along so great, and they ended up finishing the record with somebody else. I love them, and I've known them for a long, long time, and in fact, they gave Change of Heart, very, very early shows and stuff, so I have nothing but respect for them, but...
they can't all be wine and roses.
No, it can't always, and I've talked to other producers about it, and it's like, I actually have a pretty good track record of not being fired from records compared to some, because if you start working with a certain type of band, there's way more likelihood of getting fired.
Oh, I can imagine.
Not that the Rios are even that kind of band. I'm talking about, high maintenance.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you kind of got screwed with the U.S. label that folded on you. What was it?
That was a distribution deal.
Deal. But that kind of stuff, I always think about Skydiggers because they got really fucked by, I guess their first two albums, the masters were owned by some company that went under. And Andy came over and Andy Mays told me the story.
I think they were on Enigma.
And they couldn't even get their masters back or whatever. Apparently, for the first with the I will give you everything and Penny More and all that stuff.
But man, really?
They had it's a really terrible bad luck story, and there's so many stories of bad things you can't control with record labels. And I always think it's not enough just to be a good fucking band writing great songs. You have to have all these other things line up and go right before you can.
Oh, it's crazy how much stuff you have to have lined up for it to go right,
man. But what you worked with Skydiggers? What was that? I
did.
Like?
Oh God, it was great. I mean, I love those. Again, I've known Andy. We shared management when he was in Directive 17, and I think they won the Discovery to Disc at that, maybe, or something similar that CFNY had at the time, which would have been the 80s.
Maybe during the Marsden era, maybe.
Or just after, maybe. Okay. I don't know. But we shared management, so I've known Andy for a long time.
Andy's a sweetheart.
Andy and Josh,
I once accidentally,
all of them are
yeah, they are.
sweethearts.
Yeah, definitely. No, I accidentally texted Andy when my furnace went down because for some reason I had him listed as furnace guy in my phone, and Andy was sweetheart. And,
I'll be right over. Let me just grab my tools.
He came over. He fixed my furnace. It was the middle of winter, but shout out to Sky Diggers here. Okay,
Yeah.
and here this guy was in this backyard. I think it was last year, and we talked earlier about Manfred Mann. This might be the only Manfred I actually know, but did you recently work with Elephants and Stars?
I did. I've worked with them twice.
Okay, well, because I know it's funny. I think Ron Hawkins worked with Elephant Stars. So Elephant Stars, and I should have worn. Now I'm kicking myself. I'm wearing the Pete Fowler Lost Andy City T-shirt, but I should have worn my Elephants and Stars T-shirt. But okay. Just because he's listening now and he's very excited about your appearance on Toronto Mike because he's a big Ian Blurton fan. What would you say about Elephants and Stars? Shitty band, right? Terrible
band. No, they, as much as we don't see eye to eye on a lot of music, like they like a lot, they like Buffalo Tom and stuff like that, and I was always like, there's a lot of common ground there, just on the outlier stuff. And I get along with them. They're really fun to be around. They work hard too, which is I always, if a band is willing to work hard, then I'm there's a level of respect there that goes with it for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. This is not Change of Heart, but we're going to play this song and then we're going to talk about it. Now Like a Ghost. No, Like a Ghost.
Like a ghost.
Now, future now. That's where I'm getting all conflated here. By the way, the present time, as we speak into these microphones in the backyard, the day is glorious again.
Oh,
We've seen it
beautiful.
all today, Ian. You're
Yes.
never going to forget your Toronto Mike debut.
I will actually never forget this. This is great.
When you're eating your lasagna, you'll be like, yeah, that Mike guy gave me this, and it's damn good from Palma Pasta. Okay, and by the way, I know you're not a drinker, but all the FOTMs who enjoy a good fresh craft beer know Great Lakes Brewery is where you get your fresh craft beer, and they are hosting TMLXX on September 1 from 6 to 9 p.m. I'm going to talk Ian into coming over. I have a live mic there. Imagine Ian coming by. Okay, I'll talk to him later. He's not listening now. But okay, tell me about Future Now. Do you know what Future Now is?
I do, actually.
You're all burnt out. You're like, I can't do 90 minutes of this.
No, I can do 90 minutes. So yeah, I made I was in a band, I was in a band called Public Animal, and there was some downtime, and I started making this more sort of heavier type guitar. There was keyboards in that band, so and a co-lead vocalist, and just started making sort of like I don't want to say metal, but like something heavier, lots of double kick.
Yeah.
And Glenn Milcham plays double kick. He doesn't get to play double kick in Blue Rodeo, and I was like, come on and play some double kick. So I made this sort of heavy record, and then to put the band, like to tour, I put a band together, and it's Anna Ruddick, who's a phenomenal bass player, who's played with Randy Bachman and lots of people.
Portage, Maine, 50 below.
Well, she's probably had to play that song. And Aaron Goldstein, who's a great local producer, guitar player. He's got his own band, Espanola. I recorded his band Huron years ago, and so we just got this power quartet.
Can I play another one?
Sure, if you want.
Yeah, you're pushing on the board. Yeah, you take that deal. You tie the knot in two. 'Cause you can't reveal how this energy expands in your crushing of shame. Under lock and key, what the days where we stray. The ghost running stuck by shadow, the center of the center of the night, the black hole passes tonight.
You, Ian Blurton, are a talented SOB. Are you aware of that? Have I convinced you now,
Yes,
80
you've
minutes
convinced
into this? Okay, Second Skin.
Title track from the new album.
And okay, I do want to say the URL once, twice, maybe 3 times, but I know you can go to Ian Blurton ianblurton.bandcamp.com. Is that where you'd like people to go, or is there somewhere
Yeah,
else?
that's well, I mean, if you're looking for, there's 2 versions of the vinyl of this new record, Second Skin, and we, my girlfriend and I have a label called Pajama Party, and we put out the black vinyl version, and then there's another label in Ohio called Seeing Red, and they put out the variants. So there's a couple of color variants that you could get from them if that's something you're interested in.
See, earlier the airplane noise was in the video.
Oh,
Now it's here.
My helicopter's here.
I know how you Canadian rock stars live with
Well,
your
Drake's
helicopter.
coming to pick me up.
You know, Drake, shame on you. Green economy heroes, Dr. Diane Sachs, I produce her podcast. We are trying to reduce our carbon footprints. How did you get here today, Ian?
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's okay.
Cab.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're none of us perfect, right?
I'm going to
At least
walk
you
home.
Didn't fly
I'm going to
here, though.
walk 9 kilometers home.
What neighborhood is home?
Oh, Parkdale.
Oh.
Parkdale Proud.
Shout out to Parkdale. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
born
yeah.
in St. Joe's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's where, and a couple of my kids were born there too.
Oh,
so
nice.
I love, and that's where I go when I break my bones biking. I just broke my wrist during the pandemic, and I was treated nicely at the fracture clinic at St. Joe's, and I was treated by the same doctor at the same time who was treating the broken wrist of. You ready for this name I'm going to drop on you? Biff Naked.
Oh, yeah.
So we had the same Dr. Lopez, same wrist. I think hers was actually worse than mine. She required surgery.
Oh.
Mine did not. But both biking accidents.
Oh, man.
See what happens when you reduce your carbon footprint?
Yeah.
Dangerous out there.
I'm a biker myself.
Good for you.
I love it.
Me too. I bike every day. Okay. So ianblurton.bandcamp.com is a good place to go. What is the future? So, future now. So what is the future of Change of Heart? The nostalgic junkies out there listening to Toronto Mike, they're curious.
I don't even know if I should say this or not, but
Just
I'm
say
just
it.
going to.
No one's listening.
We're making a new record, actually.
Okay, that's breaking news. Where's
That's
my
breaking
sound
news.
effect? Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Wow. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, hopefully Rob won't be mad.
But that's exciting because I know a lot of listeners, I have to admit, I just talk about what I'm interested in, and it just turns out that by the end of the day you realize, it's like the bulk of listenership is like Toronto-raised Gen Xers.
Right.
Like, so you're like, that wasn't like on purpose. I try not to like just live in the Gen X land, but it just turns out that way because you keep talking to Lowest of the Low and Change of Heart or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that there's a new Change of Heart album coming is going to resonate with a number of the FOTMs listening right now, Ian.
All 12 people.
Listen, 12 is better than 0, right?
Yes. No,
And-
you are.
and you're
You
leaving
are
with
right.
lasagna.
Yeah.
You're leaving with lasagna. I'll let Humble and Fred know that maybe Change of Heart can play the next Humble and Fred Fest.
They don't still do that, do they?
No,
No.
that was terrestrial radio stuff.
Right.
We don't have a budget anymore. But that's why when I have my TMLX events, I once had an event at Great Lakes that Ron Hawkins and Lawrence Nichols played. They played live.
Right on.
Ask me how much money I gave them.
How much did you give him?
0. And I have this, like I said, I'm going to bug you later, but I'm trying to plan something really cool for September 1st. But again, no budget, but not that, people attend for free. It's not like I make any money.
Right.
I do end up losing money at the end of it all, but I can't lose too much because I got 4 kids, Ian. Okay, but enough about me. This is about you. How was your Toronto Mike debut? Did you enjoy this?
I loved it. It's fantastic.
I love this new music. This Future Now sounds great.
I like it too.
Yeah, you better like it. You better like it. You better be your own champion here. So, new change of heart music coming. Now I know you're. How will I word this? You are COVID cautious.
Yes.
So, are you playing any live anything, or are you doing? Just
We're Future Now's doing a record release show August 13th at the Horseshoe with. Can I just give you the whole spiel?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Coffey and the Iron Lungs.
Okay.
We're a wonderful band, and one of my favorite bands from Canada. They're called Sick Things. They're from Montreal. They're sort of like Big Star and Thin Lizzy, power pop and some 70s rock put together, and they're great songs.
Okay, and since that whole spiel was
Sorry,
great.
Saturday, August 13th at the Horseshoe.
Okay, so are you nervous about being in the Horseshoe with
I actually am, and I haven't played a show in 2.5 years, and I've actually don't think I've ever rehearsed more for a show in my life.
But
I'm
are you nervous about germs? Is there any?
No, it's like
it's just about
there's
playing.
that. No, there's that, and then forgetting words and not having stood up and played in a long time. There's been a lot of chair guitaring going on in the last 2.5 years.
It's like riding a bike. Just don't fall off.
Yeah, but sometimes with a tour, you're first show's passed, and then you sort of roll into it a little bit, and so just to have that burst of one show might be a bloodletting. Actually, it might be a bloodletting show.
Okay, good. So August 13th?
Saturday, August 13th.
August 13th. That's a Saturday night, Horseshoe Tavern. Amazing. All of this is amazing, Ian. I've been looking forward to this, and you did not disappoint. We covered a lot of ground, but was there anything when you were driving here today and you're thinking, oh, I want to tell this story, or I hope... Is there anything you wanted to spit into these microphones and I don't want you driving home and saying, oh, I forgot to say this?
No, I'm just appreciative of these kind of things and being able to do this, and the fact that actually people send in questions is nice, so there you go.
And as we close every episode of Toronto Mike, this is episode 1088. Better late than never, but we did work on this for years, Ian, so we tried to get this done earlier, but we finally made it happen. But we close every episode with Rosie and Gray from Shakespeare My Butt by a little band named Lowest of the Low.
Why do you close with that song?
When I started this show at the time I had a co-host named Rosie, and we both loved this album passionately, and we thought we should close with Rosie and Gray because she was Rosie and I was going gray. And that's 1088 episodes ago.
Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
I'm going to cut that out and just put that in the intro. Ian Blurton says it's amazing. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for being here again. Amazing.
Thank you.
And before you drive off, not only do you get the lasagna, but we got to take a photo together by the tree. Every guest in the same spot. Amazing.
I've seen it. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too. And that brings us to the end of our 1088th show. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Toronto Mike. Ian, you're at Ian Blurton.
At Ian Blurton.
Should I hammer that T, or is it Blurton? Do you want it to be Blurton or Blurton?
I think you hammer the T.
No regrets, because whenever I say Toronto, people are like, you're clearly not from here. You said Toronto, it's Toronto. And I'm like, I was born at St. Joe's. How more from here should I be?
What more do you want?
What more do you want?
And I can say it any way I want.
Right. Our friends at Great Lakes Brewery are at Great Lakes Beer. Palma Pasta is at Palma Pasta. Sticker U is at Sticker U. Doer are at Doer Performance. Ridley Funeral Home are at Ridley FH. And Canna Cabana are at Canna Cabana _. See you all next week.
Smile is fine and it's just like mine, and it won't go
and realize there's 1,000 shades of gray. 'Cause I know that's true, yes I do. I know it's true, yeah. I know it's true. How about you? Oh, they're picking up trash and they're putting down roads. And they're brokering stocks, the class struggle explodes. And I play this guitar just the best that I can. Well, maybe I'm not and maybe I am. Who gives a damn, because everything is coming up rosy and green. Yeah, the wind is cold, but the smell of snow warms me today. And your smile is fine and it's just like mine and it won't go away. 'Cause everything is rosy and gray. Well, I've kissed you in France and I've kissed you in Spain. And I've kissed you in places I better not name. And I've seen the sun go down on Sacré-Cœur. But I